is the way that Julian's been treated between case to case, or between extradition hearing to extradition hearing at this point.
No audio yet.
No audio?
Oh, maybe.
Can you guys hear us okay? Okay.
Okay.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to our Action for
Welcome
Assange
again.
online vigil. I'm Andrew Smith with Christy Doff and Steve Poikinen. We're going to start out by updating you guys today about kind of what came out during court, and also the other information that's come out from essentially like the behind the scenes shit that's going on. Do you want to take us off?
Yeah, so one of the first things we should talk about is how Julian has been treated between yesterday and today's hearing. So we have reports from his lawyer, and I think even Julian mentioned this himself in court, that he was handcuffed 11 times. He was strip searched twice. His cell was searched, and he was in about 5 different holding cells. So this was last night after the hearing was adjourned. His court documents that he came back with were confiscated. So we have a situation here where he is going through his extradition hearing in Belmarsh. He's not traveling to and from Westminster Magistrates Court. He is in the Belmarsh campus, if you will, to the Woolwich Crown Court. He's normally in his cell about 20 hours from what we're hearing a day. So the logical reason for him to be strip searched or go through any of this protocol, not really sure that there is one. So, I mean, this is obviously to us, this is fully understood as a form of intimidation and dominance. But yeah, I don't know what the official reason for this is, or if there can be any logical reason for
if
any
it's
of this.
a high security facility like Belmarsh, like the Guantanamo Bay of the United Kingdom, then when they transfer a prisoner from their holding cell into the court, it's more than likely via a tunnel, and there's like 3 different entrance bays that they have to go through, and in each of those checkpoints they're going to drag it out as long as possible, make Julian as uncomfortable as possible. The optics are that he needs to be treated like a high-level, very dangerous terrorist. The optics are that he could, Hulk out of his handcuffs at any moment and break through this plexiglass and, I don't know, code the people to death. I'm not even sure how that works.
Tell them truth to death.
Right? But it's punishment as process.
And this isn't, so I think it's basically like a show of force. Like, hey, we are in full control of you physically anyways. And this is not even the first time the court's done this. This on day one, Christian, the acting editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks right now, was removed from the prison.
Right. And he
hearing.
was told he was banned from the court, essentially, for no reason at all, and then was finally allowed back in.
And that's just for them to be able, the people prosecuting Julian, to be able to flex and be like, hey, we can put you out of here. Like, be happy that you're even in. Be happy that we have this extra room kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it like that in and of itself just shows how political this process is, that the editor of the same magazine is getting thrown out at the same time while Julian's being strip searched like crazy, handcuffed, moved around. Because that shit hurts too. Like, and they're not putting it on him gently, probably.
Right. I mean, can you imagine in just a couple hours span being handcuffed, moved around, strip searched multiple times? And who knows? Maybe he went through the same thing tonight. I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow on how he was treated. So his defense spent a large part of the morning speaking to the redactions that WikiLeaks did conduct before releasing any of the state cables. If you've been part of the Free Assange movement, if you've been following Julian Assange for the last year, there was an explosive lecture in Sydney about a year ago by Mark Davis, who had a firsthand account of this time period and was with Julian pretty much 24/7 and could speak to the fact that one night Julian redacted about 10,000 names for these state cables. that for a long period of time, The Guardian, the New York Times always smeared Julian as the one who didn't care about redactions. But in fact, he was the only one who was speaking to that there needs to be some redactions on some of these names to protect innocent people.
Because the editor of a different newspaper released it in a book.
Right.
Released the key
So,
in a
yeah,
book.
No, it wasn't.
It was David Lee, I believe.
David Lee and Luke Harding.
Yeah, they wrote a book, and I believe one of the chapter titles was the password to the cables. And if you have seen the Risk documentary that came out a few years ago, there's a very pivotal scene in which Sarah Harrison and Julian Assange call the State Department and ask to speak to Hillary Clinton and try to warn them, because they know they have a protocol for these kinds of things, and let them know that these cables are being released on the internet very soon, and it's not because of WikiLeaks. The password has been leaked, and they are unredacted. And if you have seen this scene or this documentary, you know that they got the runaround at the State Department. They didn't really seem to take it very urgently, and basically said, we'll call you back, and call back, I think maybe later the next day. And, you know,
Julian,
and the New York
in
Times, the Guardian, and Der
Julian.
Spiegel all went to print.
Yeah. They did print first.
Ahead of WikiLeaks.
Yes.
Because Julian Assange was staying up all night redacting those names.
Right, like an actual journalist and publisher and editor would do. And it's honestly, you could say he may have even redacted more than he needed to just to protect people.
Right. So yeah, Josh does have the Guardian article pulled up, I think right now. The Guardian article did speak to what Julian was going through last night after court. So yeah, yesterday we saw the US present their argument. We saw the defense start to present their argument. Then as a result, this was the very first night after the first day of the hearing. We get this kind of treatment. Today, it sounds like mostly the defense was speaking to these redactions.
And we got to learn that there was a CIA plot to poison Julian Assange in the embassy.
Yeah, we did.
And to make it look like an accident.
And to make it look like,
specifically to look like an accident.
Tripped over the rake.
Yeah.
So that happened. And then in the middle of all of this, we learn about a connection between Cassandra Fairbanks and Rick Grindell, who's the new acting director of national intelligence, who has made his career in the Trump administration by promising to deliver Julian Assange to the United States. He was appointed the ambassador of Germany by Donald Trump in 2017, and his role was to back channel the trafficking of Julian Assange from the Ecuadorian Embassy. He was the go-between between the Trump administration and the Moreno government. And now he is acting DNI, brought into the spotlight now under scrutiny because the Democrats have found a couple of reasons to pick on him. And the call with Cassandra Fairbanks, if we can pull that up here in a sec, actually led to some factual straight reporting on MSNBC's part. The like 52 seconds I saw of factual journalism on the entire Julian Assange case from MSNBC took place today, directly as a result of Cassandra Fairbanks blowing a fucking hole in Twitter this morning.
Yeah.
And good on her.
And that was, we'll get the call pulled up, but that was following Kim.com's disclosures, essentially, which we'll get into a little bit after this.
Right. So yeah, if we can pull this call up, then we can kind of break it down and maybe talk to it a little bit more.
Today's awkward moment of silence brought to you by the Free Assange Vigil series, Sleepy Josh,
Here we go.
and Campbell's Soup.
Classified. You can't do you're posting classified information on Twitter. You can't do that.
What? I'm not posting classified information.
Yeah, Rick. Yeah, that's classified. Yeah, Rick's role was classified. You can't do that.
ABC News already reported it. That's where I saw it.
Yeah, but not his role. You are posting things that are classified that no one knows and has not been reported.
was reported by ABC News.
I know what was reported. I see what you're tweeting. What you're tweeting is not what was reported. Someone's going to go to jail. You need to stop this.
Yeah, Julian's in jail right now because of
I
this.
don't want to go to jail.
Well, I mean, I'll delete my tweet only because you're saying that you'll get in trouble.
I don't want to go to jail. Please, I'm begging you.
All right, I will delete it. I was just referring to the ABC News report.
But like, they look into you. They see that we speak. That's bad.
I mean, the reason.
He's taking orders from the president. Okay? So you're going to punish me because he took orders from the president?
I wasn't punishing you. I was tweeting from the ABC News report.
Okay.
Remember, I called you about it.
I'm begging you, please.
All right, I will delete the tweets.
Thank you.
Huge props to Cassandra Fairbanks for that. That's just good shit. You can tell she's ready to record the conversation. The backstory to this is that Grindel had already told her that he was part of the team that was going to be presenting Trump with the pardon deal.
Yeah.
So Rohrabacher and Grindel are acting on the orders of President Trump to sort of pigeonhole Julian Assange. Like, we'll pardon you if you go ahead and clear our names on this whole Russia thing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll pardon you if you go ahead and tell everybody who assassinated Seth Rich. And these are...
And 10 months before that, he had already gone on the news to say that it was not a state actor, it was not Russia that sent him this information.
Yeah.
Right. He said that in multiple interviews.
Yeah, so that was already public well before this even reached him and the Dana Rohrabacher thing took place, just to make sure everyone kind of has that timeline straight.
So Grindel had told Cassandra Fairbanks this. Cassandra Fairbanks told a handful of people what she had been told by Rick Grindel and said, if anything ever happens to me, this conversation took place, this is what was discussed. In the ensuing time, one of those people leaked to ABC what was happening.
Right.
And that's what ABC reported, and that's what Cassandra tweeted out. And Grindel calls her up, mad at her, and when she's saying, like, I was just retweeting ABC, I don't know what we're possibly, it's the weirdest thing. Like, she's having a little bit of fun with this guy. And again,
just dropped a pop back.
Good on her for that. But yeah, the simple fact of the matter is the Trump administration has been talking out of both sides of its mouth when it comes to Julian Assange. We've got Donald Trump, the candidate. I love the WikiLeaks. We need more WikiLeaks. Give me the WikiLeaks. We've got Donald Trump, the president. Bring me Julian fucking Assange's head on a platter.
Yeah.
Go forth. While saying, and offer him a pardon if we'll go ahead and lie about some shit.
Yeah.
So
which circles back into the whole Kim.com thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we want to bring up those tweets? That might be a good time to, unless you had a.
Does Josh have those?
Yeah, we sent them over to him.
Okay.
You can pull those up.
So if we can pull up the conversation between Kim.com and Julian, it just reinforces how principled of an individual Julian Assange is, because he's known for a decade he's a targeted journalist, known for a decade that multiple intelligence agencies are coming after him, his organization, everyone he holds dear. And this conversation takes place in a DM thread. I gotta actually pull it up to see it. Oh, God damn it. Yeah.
The link's in our chat.
So this was August of 2017. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
A message from him directly to you. His exact words. And the him is Rohrabacher speaking for Trump. When this is all finally coming out on SR, Seth Rich, and we need his help, he is asking for your Julian's help. God damn it, the fucking chat popped up. No, I can't see it.
Are you Julian's part?
Oh,
as
there
I
we
said,
go.
I have no need to do anyone favors.
No, we're back up at the top.
Oh, okay,
I'm told
sorry.
you have an important meeting tomorrow. Open the diplomatic channels I've told you about. Your freedom is in reach. And Julian replies, as I've said, I have no need to do anyone favors. Others can follow the U.S. Constitution and do the right thing and cease harassing a publisher or face the same consequences that Clinton did. I mean, hey, look, if you're basically confined to an embassy, you know you're being spied on, you know you're being targeted, you know that this has spanned multiple administrations, and you're still like, yeah, no, fuck you. I don't have to do you a favor. No, you have a constitution, you have a First Amendment, you can go handle that shit on your own there, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need me to lie for you.
This is kind of one of the things I love about Julian. He's a no nonsense guy. He's very principled, and yeah, he's just as dire as his situation has been and is. He's not going to back down from those principles. He's not going to sell himself or his organization out.
Right. And it just shows the entire Russiagate had already collapsed around that time. Like, that was when it literally hit the media that, like, no information actually existed. Like, no evidence of the leak had existed. That was around the time Veterans Intelligence Professionals for Sanity.
I was going to say, they were
released
figuring things out and releasing that information about the leak versus the hack.
Yeah, because of the transfer rates for the files and how quickly they were moved. But this is also around the same time that Julian got his internet cut.
Yeah.
Where
the first time.
Yeah, where the UK stepped in and shut down Julian's internet for talking about the assassination that was going on, I believe, with the Russian poisoning.
Mm-hmm.
So
the Skripal poisoning. Yeah.
So he even, not directly but indirectly, was countering the entire Russiagate, Russia's coming to get your kids propaganda machine, simply by being like, hey, like, why don't we just ask another question? So he wasn't inherently doing what like Kim.com and all of them had asked him to do, but it was that was already out there. Like, he had already gone on TV and said, hey, $20,000 for information on the death of Seth Rich, and all of these other things that put this into play. And then now we have the audio from that leaked phone call.
Oh, the Cy Hirsch audio.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to, if you're watching at some point, go to my channel, go to Slow News Day. It's in a playlist. I've got the entire 22 minutes of the Cy Hirsch audio. Listen to that for yourself and make an opinion based on what you heard with your own ears. I don't necessarily want to spoil all of that for you. We can play the whole fucking thing right now.
Can we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can play the completely unedited playlist. Completely unedited Cy Hirsch call. That's it right there.
This one?
Yeah.
While we bring this up, we didn't get a chance to stream last night. But I don't know if you guys want to talk about what we did last night, our actions. It was on Jason Burmis's channel, but I don't believe we streamed on A4A.
No, we're gonna re-upload it.
Okay.
Last night we actually went to the intersection that we did a little research and believe that Seth Rich was actually murdered in.
Yeah.
And we set up a little candlelight vigil, and it just said his name was Seth Rich.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Windy.
Yes, it was windy. We had a little trouble with the candles, but it was very interesting to go to this neighborhood because I think a lot of people want you to believe that he was in a rough part of town, that, you know, there was a lot of cameras, but that they didn't catch this. the official narrative really falls apart
when you see it.
When you see it. This is a very, very well lit neighborhood. There are a lot of cameras, just residential homes have cameras. Now, maybe they put them in after this happened, but it is very hard to believe that this happened in that kind of a neighborhood that was so well, like, I mean,
Yeah,
if I lived there, I'd have a hard
to-
time sleeping. The lights were so bright.
I've been to bad parts of DC, and that's not one of them. It's just not.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there were a couple of cops on the block when we showed up. Obviously there's a police presence that isn't afraid to come to that neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, that's not DC back in the day. There were neighborhoods here where the cops wouldn't fucking go. But yeah, it was well lit. It was clean. It was fucking like there was nothing sketchy about the neighborhood.
No, the homes weren't run down. Nothing was run down, and like, nothing sketchy. It wasn't dark and gloomy and back alleys.
I would
pretty
just
sure
ask
Dak
people to watch the video.
Dak got a bunch of pictures of the actual house that he was shot in front of. It's 2134 Flagler Place Northwest. If you're in or around the DC area, you want to set up a weekly candlelight vigil in remembrance of Seth Rich. 2134 Flagler Place Northwest. And go see for yourself.
Yeah, it was.
Go take a look at the neighborhood with your own eyes.
Go even drop in on Google Earth.
Yeah, and see if that fits the official narrative with what you've been told about Seth Rich. But with that being said, this is a call that Ed Butowski, who has several class action lawsuits against a number of different media outlets, and Cy Hirsch. Cy Hirsch didn't know he was being recorded. Let's be perfectly clear about this. And Butowski waited a number of months, if not nearly a year, before he released this call. Like, there was a 2 or 3 minute clip that was aired. And then later on down the road was the full 22 minutes, which we're about to play for you right now.
Okay.
I mean, I can know it.
All right. I was just wondering.
No, I don't know who well, I know who runs the field office. He's public, but.
We're getting it pulled up, everybody.
Hey, Josh, can you show that photo really quick before?
Or put it over the top of the video.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Put it up
too.
while the video's playing.
We don't have it on our end, or we just send it over to you. We don't have it
Yeah,
like on
Dak
the
sent it
computer.
over. Oh, you sent it to me. Okay, sorry. Oh, sorry. I will send it to you, Josh.
But are we going to play the Hirsch audio? I thought that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what I know. What I know comes off an FBI report. Don't ask me how you can figure out. I've been around long enough. The kid I don't think he was murdered. I don't think he was murdered because of what he knew. The kid's a nice boy, 27. He was not an IT expert, but he learned stuff. He was a data programmer, but he learned stuff. And so he's living on one street. He's living in a very rough neighborhood. It's a neighborhood that's in transit, being gentrified. And in the exact area where he'd been, there have been about 10, I'm sure you know all this, there have been about 8 or 9 or 10 violent, robberies, most of them with somebody brandishing a gun. And the kid's hands, I'm telling you, I'm sure you know it, his hands were marked up. The cops concluded he fought off the people, tried to run, and he shot him twice in the back with a .22, small caliber. And then the kids that did it ran. They got scared, didn't take his wallet. Okay, so what the cops do then, and here's what nobody knows, what I'm telling you. Now, maybe you know something about it. When you have a death like that, DC cops, if you're dead, you generally don't just go. You have to find out what's going on. You have to get to the kid's apartment and see what you can find. If he's dead, you don't need a warrant. But most cops get a warrant because they don't know if the guy has a roommate. You need a warrant, so they get a warrant. I'm just telling you, there is such a thing. They go in the house and they can't do much with his computer. It's password. The cops don't know much about it. So the DC cops, they have a cyber unit in DC, and they're more sophisticated. They come and look at it. The idea is maybe he's had a series of exchanges with somebody who says, I'm going to kill you, motherfucker, over a girl, or, whatever. And they can't get in. The cyber guys do a little better, but they can't make sense of it. So they call the FBI cyber unit. The DC unit, the Washington field office, is a hot shit unit. The guy running the Washington field office, he's like a 3-star at an army base. He's ready looking for 4. You know what I mean? He's going to go into a top job because that's a key job, and they're good.
Do you know his name?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I can know it.
All right. I was just wondering.
No, I don't know well, I know who runs the field office. He's public, but there's a cyber unit there that's excellent.
Okay. I got you.
That's what you get in a warrant. The public information you get in a warrant doesn't include. It does not include the affidavit underlying why are you going in, what the reasons are. That's almost never available on. I can tell you that the existence of a warrant is a public document 99% of the time.
Okay.
So they, on the same warrant, they call in the Fed. The Feds get through, and here's what they find. This is according to the FBI report. What they find is he makes. First of all, you have to know some basic facts. One of the basic facts is there's no DNC or Podesta email that exists beyond May 22nd, May 21st, 22nd. It's the last email for either one of those groups. And so what the report says that sometime in late spring, we're talking about June, summer's in June 21st. Late spring would be after, I presume, I don't know. I just say it says late spring, early summer. He makes contact with WikiLeaks. That's in his computer, and he makes contact. Now, I have to be careful because I met Julian and Julian 10, 12 years. I stay the fuck away from people like that. And he said, invited me, and when I'm in London, I always get a message, come see me at the Ecuadorian Embassy, and there's no fucking way I'm going there. I've got enough trouble without getting photographed by every fucking age. He's under total surveillance by everybody, and including SIGINT. So I don't know how we got in contact, but I'm working on it. There is a way to talk to let people know. There's something called Signal. I'm not sure, but anyway, they found what he had done. He had submitted a series of documents, of emails, some juicy emails from the DNC. And, by the way, all this shit about the DNC, whether hacked or wasn't hacked, but whatever happened, the Democrats themselves wrote this shit. You know what I mean?
Well, they wrote it, but also the Republicans, and they hired that group. But when you say he submitted...
but you know who started that group with the Simpson stuff? Rubio.
Yeah, exactly. But when you say...
How do you know that?
Well, because, people have told me, but it was Rubio, McCain, and Bush that found this former MI6 guy.
We have to talk more about that because I'll tell you, I know Simpson knew him for years. That's Steele. But don't
Simpson. Who's Simpson?
But let me keep on going.
All right. Well, when you talk about, let's just go back to.
Let me go back to my narrative.
Right.
Then you can ask questions.
Okay.
All I know is that he offered a sample, an extensive sample. I'm sure dozens of emails, and said, "I want money."
Okay.
That later, WikiLeaks did get the password. He had a Dropbox, a protected Dropbox, which isn't hard to do. I mean, you don't have to be a wizard, IT wizard. He was certainly, he's not a dumb kid. They got access to the Dropbox. He also, and this is also in the FDA report, he also let people know with whom he was dealing. And I don't know how he dealt. I'll tell you about WikiLeaks in a second. I don't know how he dealt with the WikiLeaks and the mechanism. But he also, the word was passed, according to the FBI report. I also shared this box with a couple of friends. So if anything happens to me, it's not going to solve your problem. Okay? I don't know what that means. I don't know whether he was, anyway. But WikiLeaks got access, and before he was killed, Roger Stone was talking about this file publicly about 5 days before the kid was killed. So I don't think the killing had anything to do with anything. Although one of the lawyers the family now has been mouthing off about the Russians killed them. I will tell you right now, there's not the Russians may indeed have broken in. They may indeed, and I'll tell you right now, we and the Russians are like babes compared to the Chinese. The Chinese are pinging everything. I mean, everybody knows you're always being pinged. The Democratic National Committee probably had a lot of... Anyway, whatever happened, I can tell you right now, Brennan's an asshole. I've known all these people for years. Clapper's sort of a better guy, but not rocket scientist. The NSA guy's a fucking moron. And the trouble with all those guys is that the only way they're going to make it to a board or two and get hired by SAIC to deliver some fat cat contracts is if Hillary stayed in. With Trump, they're gone. They're done. They're going to live on their pension. They're not going to make it. And I got to tell you, guys in that job, they don't want to live on their pension. They want to be on boards like their predecessors.
Sure.
And, make $600,000 for going to 4 visits to some dumb company. Anyway, so there you are.
So let's go back to...
That's what I know.
So,
and I can't even begin to go... And so the question then is was there any money in the kids' finances? Did the 25,000 show up? I mean... I've gone to Assange's people. I know somebody. I don't like Julian, but I've gone to somebody who works for him, who's close to him. And once everything was okay, we were speaking on a signal as a classified, something the government can't break into, and encryption stuff. It's good. Actually, Snowden works.
I use Signal as well.
It's the best. By the way, you know who's the honcho right now for Signal? Their main advisor, Edward Snowden. They pay him a lot of money to, Snowden. I'll tell you one thing. He doesn't love the Russians either, because he knows what assholes they are. I don't know. Anyway, he did what he did. He's never coming back. He fucked up.
So, but I want to go back to something. I want to go back to something.
Well, go ahead.
I want to go back to something. So, not Joel's the father, and
right.
I've spoken with Joel, and my initial feeling, being a Jewish boy. And I know, I don't think that has a lot to do with it, but I think you understand what I mean. Is that here you have?
I'm a lot. My family's out of Ukraine. My father's village was knocked off by the
right.
But not.
With a name like Cy Hirsch, I kind of figured you were a landsman.
Seymour Myron.
Oh, even more. Okay.
Seymour Myron. I wore glasses. The only thing I say, man, I was always a good athlete, but I had a fight for years over my fucking name. Go ahead.
I would too. But putting that aside, I felt bad for this kid. I felt bad for the parents because the parents I knew weren't going to get any information at all from the Washington police or the FBI. And they're just left out completely in the dark. They have they don't know anything. And when I heard something through another channel, it made me get really interested in it and more and more and more. But what you're saying is that he uploaded stuff into the WikiLeaks Dropbox, and they pulled it down, and that's where the Podesta and DNC emails came from.
Yes, it doesn't preclude Russians also hacking them. I just don't think that, it's always Occam Razor. WikiLeaks got them. By the way, nobody, Julian's a complete fucking lunatic, he's when I first met him was about 10 years ago in Italy at a conference. He came up there, he's albino, and he was on the run from Aussie. He's an Australian, but he'd broken in there, and what he did is he wanted to see me, and I said, why? And he said, oh, I break into everything. It turned out he'd broken into the fucking FBI, the CIA, the Pentagon. I didn't want to deal with him, but he was going to start this service. And I said, Godspeed, buddy, because he was lethal. He was under warrant because he'd broken into everything in banks and shit like that and credit cards in Australia.
But I understand that, but I want to stay focused on one thing just for a moment. You saw a report? You saw the FBI report?
No. I have somebody on the inside. I've been around a long time and I read a lot of stuff. I have somebody on the inside who will go and read a file for me. Okay. And I know this person is unbelievably accurate and careful. He's a very high-level guy. He'll do a favor.
And is there any way we can get our hands on the report? Because
I know
that changes everything.
I'll tell you something. I learned a long time ago. I do have some amazing shit, but I don't use it ever because I never know a marking. I never know if there's a marking or a phrase that would trigger where it came from. So I am careful about that stuff. And we're coming into a new age of surveillance now. I think some of these guys, Flynn and all that, they're going to up the surveillance shit. But that's okay. I mean, fuck it.
Well,
if you're not doing anything,
but
what do you care?
this particular,
I can't get the report. I cannot get the report. I can probably get the warrant, but it won't show anything. I mean, I'm sure I can get the warrant. I know it's where it is. It'll just show they issued a warrant, which is normal. Doesn't
Right.
mean shit. Really.
Yeah.
Except that it confirms something my friend told me, because he said there was a warrant. And I can tell you right now, you don't need a warrant if somebody's dead. You only get it if you think there's a roommate. So that's interesting.
So
If you're dead,
I'd like to have anything at all, but most importantly, this is one of the most important.
What do you mean you'd like to have a why?
Well, what I'm saying is, I would love to see if they had it. I mean, there's no reason not to see it, but the most important thing is this: there's so many people throughout Trump's 4 years and maybe 8 years are always going to fall back on the idea that he's not legitimate and the Russians got him elected. This changes all of that.
Well, let me tell you something. This is the reason I'm pushing it, because at least it doesn't, I wish Trump would, when a million people march, women marching, wearing pink and all that stuff, they're mad at him for the sexual stuff he said. I wish he would just say something more instead of saying the crowd's not big, that kind of shit. I wish he would be a little grown up.
Well, of course.
But I would tell you, Mattis is the best. Mattis is the grown up, and as long as Mattis is there, he's not, and as long as he listens to Mattis, he's going to be. I mean, I do know that. I know people work. There are a couple of people I know work for Trump who are first rate. There's a lot of loonies around him. I don't think Bannon's as mad as crazy as everybody else does either.
No, Bannon's a great guy. I know him.
No, he's not as crazy. I know that. He's very smart. He's also literate. I mean, he's a very literary guy.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of them too, but I want to get this.
I can't. I don't want to get near the. I don't play politics. Obama was a piece of shit. It's on foreign stuff. I thought he was on racial stuff. I thought he was fine, except he didn't do it. The Democrats did nothing. Trump won because the Democrats didn't do nothing for anybody. But having said that, the last thing I want to do is go to the White House and say, "Look what I have for you." Fuck you! I don't do that.
Right.
So
but you get it to me, and I'll do it.
And by the way, Larry, even though Larry, like a lot of people I know, Johnson, supports Trump because you got to change the system. As I said, circuit breaker. You got to break the system because our foreign policy. We're in fucking Afghanistan for 16 years, right? On the war on terror. How the fuck we doing? How's the war going after 16 years?
Right.
And Trump, Trump also, he was out. He could, in a way, in the Forsyth saga, those 19th, 20th century novels about upper class England, there was something known as a gentleman of means, and the gentlemen of means were guys who had a lot of money, who did not like trouble. They didn't like wars. A guy like Trump that has so many assets all over the world, he may actually be somebody who's going to say, let me look at the scorecard here in Afghanistan. What the fuck?
Right. No, I'm in agreement with all of that. I'm trying to just focus in on this because
so what do you know anything more? I mean, the family knows nothing. They've told nothing.
I know, and I just want to, because I have to leave in a second to go to I have a lunch downtown at your 1 o'clock, my 12 o'clock. And
go ahead.
I have to leave in a second.
You know what? Tell me what you know. My pen is down. You're not in the middle. I'm not quoting about anything. I know that. What do you know?
I know that Julian Assange told a friend of mine who met with her that he got the emails from Seth Rich. And he told her, and they're very personal friends. And
Who's personal friend?
She told me, and that's what has gotten
the woman who told you is a personal friend
of Julian's.
Not Sarah Harrison.
No, it's not her. And she
told. Why would he tell somebody that?
Because he
was he trying to make her? Was he trying to fuck her? Or what? That's all he thinks about.
Yeah, no, that's not what this is about at all. Trust me, because she's a lesbian. So my point is that when that happened, I got very emotional about hearing that and feeling terrible for Seth's parents. And I initially just wanted to let the parents know because they should know what happened to their son.
So go ahead.
And that's why I started getting really into this, because then the whole thing came up about the hacking with the Russians, and I just happened to have been looking into it when that happened. And we solve a lot of problems, especially letting a mother and father know what happened to their son. And second, we solve the problem about Russians are the ones that gave the emails, because that did not happen. I know that did not happen.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something, and you're just going to have to trust me. I have what they call in my business long-form journalism. I have a narrative of how that whole fucking thing began. It's a Brennan operation. It was an American disinformation, and the fucking president. At one point, when they even started telling the press, they were back briefing the press. The head of the NSA was going and telling the press, this fucking cocksucker Rogers was telling the press that we even know who in the GRU, the Russian Military Intelligence Service, leaked it. I mean, all bullshit. They were telling these. I worked at the New York Times for fucking years, and the trouble with the fucking New York Times is they have smart guys, but they're totally beholden on sources. If the president or the head of the CIA tells them something, they actually believe it. I was hired at the Times to write about it, to go after the war, in the Vietnam War in '72, because they were just locked in. So that's what the Times is. These guys run the fucking Times. And Trump's not wrong. I mean, I wish he would calm down and had a better press secretary. You have to be so. Trump's not wrong to think they all fucking lied about him.
Well, I get okay, only because I have to go. I understand all that. I just want to focus in on this.
Well, call me later.
No, but I want to focus in.
Mr. Patowski, I've been doing this for. I don't mean to be rude.
Yeah, you've done a long time.
I've been doing this story since the late summer because I smelled it. I smelled it in August. Okay.
Good.
The fallback was going to be Russia, and it's. And I'll tell you right now, Putin may be a prick. But he's played a weak hand. If you play poker, he's played a weakened hand brilliantly. He's fucking smart, and there's a lot of business that can be done together. Not only international. I'm not talking about money business. I'm talking about political business. Because Putin hates the fucking ISIS as much as we do. The Russia's against religion nuts. Anyway, let's talk later. If you tell me you know somebody that Julian said it to, I mean, I'm going to push you hard. I don't have to. You can take my word for it. I'm not going to expose anybody, but I have to hear it.
Well,
so tell me.
But I can tell you that, and I will. I have no problem with that.
Fucking don't get late because of me.
Right, but I'm just trying to get something in my hand that I can get public about this.
No, hey man, listen. That's not what I'm. No. That's not what Well, I'm talking to you because my buddy Larry, who I think a lot of, and I've known for a long time. He used to teach graduate courses at American University here in Washington. He was, he's no dummy. Yep. I don't know if he's got a PhD or not, but he used to teach graduate courses in politics. And I remember the first time he nagged me like hell in the '80s to come speak to his class. He was still in the agency then. And when I went there, the guy speaking in front of me was William Colby, the head of the CIA. I mean, so Larry's got juice. Larry told me to call you. I call you, but I'm not trying to give you something to go to the White House with. That's not what it's about.
Right. Okay. And that's okay. That's okay.
I just need to know what you know.
All right.
Because I'm writing something. That's all.
All right.
I mean, maybe that doesn't work. If it doesn't work, we shouldn't talk. Are you kidding me? I can tell you right now, Mattis knows what I know.
Got it.
Okay?
All right.
It's already been done. That doesn't make it true.
I understand.
It doesn't make it true.
I'll call you back.
Okay, so let's talk later when you have time.
Apart every single time we can. I am joined today.
I understand. It doesn't make it true. I'll call you back. Let's talk later when you have time.
Yeah,
that's what you had on accident. Okay.
So
I gotta say, dude, just the fact that Mad Dog Madison was the adult in the room in the middle of that whole conversation is it's one of the more cartoonish things to
it's
come
one of the
out
more
that
disheartening
mind-blowing fucking audio. there's Cy Hirsch being a prick and being Cy Hirsch and being the guy who, exposed the Miley massacre and the guy whose voice sounds like his whiskey just got laid and needs a cigarette, which I have a lot of respect for, don't get me wrong. Phenomenal voice.
It's just crazy that like it takes people like us to try to disseminate this factual information or information that goes counter to the actual narrative. Like, it's just insane that like we know what happened or we know more of what happened compared to everyone else that just thinks that Russia did some dumb shit.
And that's what we were saying in front of the Hill today and in front of the Washington Post. Like, we can figure this out.
Right. We are 4 volunteers. We don't do this as full-time jobs. We're not getting paid, and we can accurately report on this. I feel like some of the things that have come out in the first 2 days of Julian's hearing have sort of seemed like these mainstream media bombshells, and we're just like, yeah, we've been talking about that for a number of months now, and beyond us, beyond our show, people have been talking about this in the movement.
Yeah, and it's because the media just obviously doesn't want to report it. Like, we interacted with someone today that was part of that larger institution that was just scared of even having themselves be recognized. So like, it's even down to the point of, if you try to take that stand as someone, you have to know that there is an entire like global infrastructure of people that will support you when you come forward with the truth or being willing to report it.
And that is something we did at all of the locations we were at today, is we invited the journalists to come stand with us on the sidewalk.
Andrew got to talk to Crystal Ball.
I did get to talk. That was the most.
You guys have homework.
Yes.
So when we were at the Hill, Crystal Ball came out and was walking down the street. She said she had a CNN interview to do today. And I ran down the street to catch up with her. And I said, hey,
literally sprinted.
And I don't do that.
I've never seen this dude move that fast.
No, I was not sure if there was a fire. I don't know what was happening.
So
manhole cover exploded.
So anyways, really long, awkward story short. Crystal Ball said she would think about coming to some of our events later this week. Our event tomorrow is at Chelsea Manning's prison. Our event Thursday is on the square between Capitol Hill and the Supreme Court building. So there's this nice little patio there. And then Friday, we're doing another march from the White House to Trump Tower to the Department of Justice. And we invited her to join it. I sent her an email that had it in there. And I just really hope that she can come out and be a strong voice for Julian.
So we need you to hit her up.
Yeah, so I just posted in the chat a tweet from Action for Assange Twitter account where we mentioned this interaction. We asked you to help us let Crystal know that we want her to come stand with us. So comment on the tweet, retweet it, post your own retweet comments.
And if you can help connect us with anyone else in the DC area right now, whether it's just through email, whether you want to connect us through Twitter, whatever, help us get people out here. Help us get the independent media out here, because there's a lot of creators in the DC area. And then there's also the people from RT that have been showing up regularly. Sputnik's been showing up regularly.
Also, an interesting point is we've had a lot of student journalists show up. That is really interesting. I'm not sure how they're finding out about us.
The guy from when we were outside the Washington Post said he was literally just in the building and just heard us yelling and did what a journalist is supposed to do.
Go outside and ask some fucking questions.
We had somebody in the coffee shop who saw us, who does a political comedy group at Georgetown University. But we've had multiple student journalists just come up and ask some really impressive questions and really want to understand what's going on. So if the 4 of us can do this, if student journalists can come and do their jobs, why isn't the mainstream media doing this? Why aren't the locations we went to today? Nobody necessarily came out to represent them.
They're incentivized not to. They're incentivized to ignore us, or if forced to interact with us, to do it with a smirk. The couple of people that we did actually get to talk to asked to be left out in terms of their identities. Nobody wanted to get fired for taking the right side on the issue today.
Yeah, that was for sure. It did seem like we had the message sent to us that if they came out to talk to us, they could put their jobs and their livelihoods in jeopardy.
Right. Which is not something that we actually want to do. Like, that's not the goal, is to have people's lives collapse because they support Julian. The goal is to just get people to understand that if you choose to take that path and you choose to report honestly and accurately and tell the truth about Julian's situation, there is an entire group of people that will support you and help you. Like Tariq Haddad is a perfect example. He's connected with us. He's connected with tons of people through the UK. He's connected with Gordon Dimmick to the point now that together we have helped grow this like new media organization that he's kicking up off the ground from the ashes of taking a stand for what's the right thing to do.
Garland Nixon kind of brought it up to us, or framed it, when Christy and I went on Fault Lines this morning. By the way, Christy and I were on Fault Lines this morning.
And it was a great interview.
John Kiriakou was filling in for Lee Stranahan.
Yeah, we didn't even know John
We
Kiriakou
didn't know.
was
It was
that
cool.
was very
there
cool.
was like a
to meet him
friendly
in person.
presence in the room.
Yeah, so because he's been on one of our very early vigils. I mean, we're talking probably summer of 2019.
Yeah.
That he was on.
Yeah, it was probably the third or fourth.
Yeah.
It really was. It was early.
Well, I mean, right
on.
when we were starting out, and so yeah, it was awesome to meet him and Garland in person. And yeah, we got a pretty lengthy interview this morning that went really well. So go to Fault Lines on Twitter, and I'm sure or YouTube, and you can find our interview. I'll try to make sure that's tweeted out on Action for Assange tonight too.
And what Garland said to us was, like, you've had to become the media along with being activists. Where we are in the cartoon, where we are in the world right now, is that in order to have accurate information brought into the public consciousness, it's now incumbent on the activists to become the media that reports what is happening, because the media itself has just wandered so far afield from their job.
And that is something we talked about, Steve and I, and we've talked about this collectively too, that we never intended to classify ourselves as independent media, but we found that as activists, we had to start doing that so that we could accurately answer questions and help educate people. And then it just sort of became our thing to start bringing in all the news stories every week, and to really just continually talk about them. And when WikiLeaks had drops, we would continually be like, let's break these down live. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're going to continue to do. And so, yeah, I'm not sure if independent media is the right term for us, but we are sort of balancing this activist independent media life here with Action for Assange.
They want to frame it as advocacy journalism, and yeah, to a degree, I suppose.
I mean, it's just accurate,
but yeah, it's spoken as like a smear.
Yeah,
you know, you're an advocacy journal, you're not a real journal. You know,
right?
Just because you believe in the thing that you're reporting on doesn't make it the veracity of the information any less accurate.
Right, and that's why we need your assistance in this, because we have a Discord that we use to help organize people. We help make like clips for the show, but we also have a couple on the ground groups there. And if you're interested in starting a group, if you're interested in doing the things that you're seeing here in your local community, engaging your local media in this way, putting up signs in your local communities, you can do this too. You can start it by yourself, like Dak and I did, him going out and asking questions, me going out and hanging up flyers. It just takes you being that initial spark in your community. So,
and reach out to us if you need, support, or if you need a couple of ideas. Like, we're approachable.
If you need $5 or $10 worth of flyers printed or posters printed, we can pitch in with that.
Yeah, so I just put the Discord link. It's an invite link into the chat. If you've never been on Discord, reach out to us too. Discord can be kind of intimidating if you've never done it before. The channels are organized in topic. We're all in there. We have a great group in there that are starting to build. And really what we were really showing with the last 2 days of action, and we will continue to do this week, is that it's okay to be the first to go out and do this. It's okay to be the first in your community, even if you are just with you and a buddy, even if you have a group of 10. We want everybody to feel comfortable. We got a lot of like great responses today. People walking down, we were walking down K Street in Washington, D.C. to these different media buildings, and we had a lot of people taking our picture. We had a lot of people pumping fists in the air at us,
chanting with us,
shaking their heads. Yes, thank you for doing this. Thank you for speaking up. So, I mean, we've only been doing this 2 days, but each day we seem to get more and more responses.
And just so everyone knows what this is back here.
Oh yeah.
Thanks to Paula and the awesome volunteers, this is our signature flag. So what we're going to do is, as we do these events, we're going to be having people sign in support of Julian Assange, and in support of free speech, and in support of WikiLeaks.
And that's Medea Benjamin's signature right there. It is. That's Medea's signature. That's
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's cool. I'm getting alerts that people are already joining the server, so that's really cool. Yeah, we want you to come sign if you're in the DC area. We're going to have different groups joining us. Tomorrow we're going to be at Chelsea and Jeremy Detention Center in Alexandria, Virginia.
It's at 2011 Mill Road, Alexandria. So to give a little like geographic breakdown, as you're driving down Mill Road, it looks like every other part of DC. There's houses, there's luxury apartments, there's big buildings, and then you come to an on-ramp. And if you go around the on-ramp, there's a prison right set in with all these houses and in this glowing, rich community.
Yeah, there's like a hollow in the road, and it's tucked right into the holler right there.
So what we plan on doing tomorrow.
And it's a one-way road.
Yeah, one way all the way around. What we're planning on doing tomorrow. I went, so we were pulling up and I didn't realize it was a one-way. I pulled into the parking lot and then turned around and pulled out the same way I came in, on the wrong side of the road. So that was fun.
Crossed the freeway on-ramp.
Yeah.
Get back to the road that we were going to. It was
so anyways,
scary.
The parking lot for the prison is directly underneath the on-ramp. And that's where all the vehicles are. And it's literally a larger megaphone. Essentially.
Yeah, we have a concrete megaphone with which
acoustically tuned directly
right down into the freaking parking lot and front door of the William Truesdale Detention Center.
So thanks to Kendra, actually, she had the idea of bringing a ton of whistles, so that way we can fill the parking lot with whistleblowers. So that way Jeremy Hammond and Chelsea Manning can know that there is people on the outside still fighting for them right now.
Oh, and something I wanted to mention, because we've talked about our volunteers. We are hoping on tomorrow night's stream that we are going to bring on our DC planning group. So it's not just the four of us. Excuse me. We've had some awesome people from around the country helping us plan this week, helping us plan everything from the graphics to locating information about permits, helping us pick locations, helping us contact people in the movement. And so we really wanted to bring them on, and I think they've all agreed to come on camera. So tomorrow night I think we're gonna have them on, and I want you guys to hear their stories on how they got involved and their activism, and specifically into Julian's cause.
And just the stuff that we've done this week, because we've talked about it, but there's just so much that each person has experienced, because everyone's talked to reporters.
Yeah.
Everyone has held banners, yelled into megaphones, given speeches in front of the ABC building or Washington Post or on the White House or in front of the Department of Justice. So it's something that if we as Action for Assange weren't here, and if you guys as the people watching and contributing didn't help get us here, then that wouldn't have happened. So I'm super, super grateful for everybody watching and everyone behind the scenes at the kitchen table 10 feet away from us.
Yeah, shouting down. Because I mean, the four of us are resourceful and useful, but I don't think we could have done it without everybody. No. That this wouldn't have been possible. And we have had help crowdsourcing, crowdfunding this. We're doing this on a shoestring budget. And of course, we would love to do this again for the second half. And we will be discussing that after this week. But we want to focus on this week. We want to keep our focus on the actions. And tomorrow is going to be a very big day at the detention center.
Yes, that's gonna be probably our biggest one yet, because thanks to friend of the show, Ian Schlackman. He's going to be coming on. We're probably going to be doing an interview with him tomorrow too, live on site. And if we can get him to come back to our Airbnb with us, then we will have him in this group too.
Yeah.
But he's done an absolutely amazing job helping to organize groups, and others have picked up the call, but he as an individual, has managed to get at least 7 organizations involved from the Baltimore area to come out and help protest at tomorrow at Chelsea's prison. Then they're coming out again on Thursday to do the Capitol Hill engagement, and then they're going to be here again with us on Friday. So I want to give a big thank you to all those Baltimore groups, as well as Ian Schlackman for bringing everybody together. And hopefully we'll get some cool pictures and videos coming out of that just as everyone shows up.
Yeah, and we have, I don't know if we want to release it now, but we do have something special happening on Thursday and Friday in DC. So I guess we'll maybe marinate on that a little bit, but we do have some big things planned for the end of the week. So one of the questions in the chat was they want to know what is the bombshell news from WikiLeaks that was today. I know WikiLeaks did sort of tease this last week that there was going to be something coming out today, specifically on Tuesday.
We thought about this morning. We were talking about it. We were trying to figure out what was the most bombshell-y. And I mean, they had a plot to poison him and make it look like an accident.
Right. And do you remember when like Pamela Anderson was visiting him and bringing him vegan food? I remember there was talk about like he got really sick one time, and was he maybe like an attempted poisoning? And that he specifically had like people bringing him food. At one point, the Ecuadorians did make him food a lot because he was very friendly with the staff. So all these rumors that he was this uninvited house guest really were contradictory to what we had heard for years, that he got along really well with the Ecuadorians. They helped him. They made him food.
They made him a countryman.
Right. He had citizenship. He was a citizen. Not only did he have asylum, but he had a citizenship to Ecuador. So yeah, having that confirmed, because I'm sure, I mean, we're sort of talking to everybody who's like-minded, that we knew that these things were happening to Julian, but having this confirmed in court by his legal team that there was this plot on his life.
Yeah, which it's something that everybody kind of assumed by the way that they treated him, the way that they were surveilling him, but it wasn't something that was in writing, that wasn't entered into court record, that we knew was actually happening.
Yeah, so that in itself is a pretty powerful piece of, I don't know if you want to call that evidence, but...
I mean, it's evidence in the fact that that's political as fuck. You don't assassinate someone for a non-political reason.
You certainly don't, you certainly don't go after a hacker.
Yeah.
So like that, like, I'm going to arrange your poisoning because you did something wrong on your computer.
Right.
You know, this,
I mean, it just shows like just the fear that they have of people actually knowing the truth about this information and about what the governments, not just of the United States, but of the world and the corporations that run those governments are actually doing. And we just want to invite everyone to help fight back.
So thank you for being a part of this with us. And I think we're going to go ahead and wrap.
Yeah, real quick. We're going to be uploading the content that Taylor's making every night. Due to the situation with the State Department and Steve's passport, we weren't able to have him actually travel over there. We will have a contingency plan for next time. Like, I'll probably end up getting my passport just to make sure at least 2 people can go. But she's picked up such an incredible burden and is putting out beautiful content, doing amazing interviews with people. We don't always get to broadcast it live as it's coming out, but we are uploading it to the channel. We are, like I went through earlier today, it didn't capture the titles right, but I scrolled through her Twitter feed where she was putting up just a couple second clips, 2-minute clips, just of the little interviews that she could get out, because around the prison, there's not actually very good signal. So we were trying to do some live streams with her yesterday, and it just wasn't working. And we happened to arrange it well enough that at the end of her day, we were able to do the stream this morning. So that's what we're going to be aiming for, is probably around 10 to 10:30 Eastern time to go live for 15 minutes to half an hour, just to get caught up on what the events of the day were over there. Hopefully, that's the plan. Best laid plans, but
yeah, we're taking it day by day, and we're trying to mix time zones as much as we can, and obviously we've been dealing with some technical difficulties and internet connections, and obviously Belmarsh is not equipped with the best internet.
Right.
So she's had some trouble live streaming with us and connecting with us, but yeah, each day we're trying to
find a little bit better times to connect, and hopefully, like this morning, we did get to talk with her for a little bit.
And this is going to happen again in some way, shape, or form. Like when the extradition hearing picks back up in May and into the first week of June, there will be an action for Assange presence here and in London. Again, we don't know what it's going to look like yet. In the meantime, look for live teach-ins. So I can't wait to fucking get into that.
Right. And so we need your help with live teach-ins. So what we're trying to do is any group of people we can really get together, whether it's through a college, a student organization, whether
Your
it's,
bar,
yeah, your local bar that can set up a TV and connect them.
your uncle's top buddies softball team.
Yeah, literally
We'll go.
anywhere where you can get a small or large number of people that would be interested in learning truthful information. We can live stream into it if you have a TV and a laptop. Hopefully we can build towards doing events live where we would come to give a real teach-in and a real town hall with at least one of us, if not all of us, depending on the situation. So yeah, try to get involved, get on the Discord. If you can, talk to groups that you know, talk to people in DC that you know that can get out here or the Baltimore area. If you have the ability to, come out here. If you don't, go protest in your own community. Because I bet you your local newspaper isn't running something accurately about Julian.
No, they'll tell you all about what food was served at Kobe Bryant's ongoing memorial.
Yeah, the country is still very much mourning.
Mm-hmm.
And Harvey Weinstein, you know, getting what, 1 to 3?
I think it's 5 to 20 something.
No, he got 1 to 3.
Did he? I thought it was a little bit more than that. Or did it get like
No, it got
flushed out
reduced.
today?
That-
Okay.
That's what Burmis and I were talking about this morning.
That's crazy.
Which, by the way, if you're not aware, if you haven't been paying attention, Jason Burmis came down from New York to be a part of some of these events with us, and he's the only independent content creator that we've ran into.
That's been willing
That's a fact, yeah.
to do more than literally anyone else.
Yeah.
As far as helping us build this and helping proliferate the actual factual information about Julian to counter the propaganda. So I want to give a big thank you to him, to Jason Carney. Lee Camp showed up on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give big thanks to him as well.
Thank you to Fault Lines and to John Carrigu and Garland Nixon for having us on. I was on a few weeks ago. I called in. So it was really awesome to go into the studio with Steve this morning.
Taylor did an interview with George Galloway today.
Yeah, and Taylor has been on Fault Lines as well. She's also been on Political Misfits. Taylor has been getting some good interviews that we're going to be posting on Action for Assange. We just are making more and more connections, and so grateful for the connections that we are making and the collaborations that we are making as well.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at Andrew Zigman. You can find us on Twitter at action_4 Assange. Christy?
Yeah, I'm Christy Doff. You can find me at Christy Doff on Twitter.
I'm Steve Poikinen. You can find me at Slow News Day Show on Twitter, Slow News Day Podcast on YouTube. Thank you for being a part of this with us. For the people that donated to the GoFundMe to get us here and to get Taylor to London, again, thank you so much. We are doing everything we can think of.
Yeah.
To be
we aren't sleeping very much. we are out there, and we are we actually have all been so busy. We were talking this morning, we haven't even posted pictures of our actions and what we've been doing, so we will try to get that up on Twitter and try to get some stuff posted.
Yeah, but that's why we need your help in the Discord, because we need to build a Twitter team, we need to build an Instagram team, we need to get these social platforms set up large scale with like Reddits and things like that, so that way we can proliferate across the internet. Good luck to us all.
Good night.